They haven't slept properly since you left. God revealed why your energy still touches them. Beloved soul, listen closely, for what I am about to reveal will stir something ancient in your spirit. There is a reason you felt the urge to hear this message today, a reason your heart is sensing a pull you cannot quite explain. You think it is coincidence, but nothing heaven sends is accidental. There is someone, yes, a specific person, whose spirit has been restless because of you. They have not slept properly since the moment your energy withdrew. They fight the thought of you during the day, but at night, when all distractions collapse, your presence returns like a whisper they cannot escape. And God asked me to tell you why. You were not just a chapter in their story. You were a divine interruption. A spiritual earthquake. A calibration that awakened something dormant inside them. Your energy did not simply enter their life, it rearranged the atmosphere around them. When you walked away, whether by choice, circumstance, or protection, the balance they had manufactured fell apart. And though they try to convince themselves they have moved on, their soul knows the truth. Your absence created a void nothing else can fill. There is a reason they lie awake, staring into the dark. A reason memories hit them harder at 2 a.m. than they ever could at 2 p.m. When the world sleeps, the spirit wakes. When the mind quiets, the heart begins to speak. And their heart has been speaking your name with a trembling they cannot stop. They do not understand why you still affect them. They do not realize this is not obsession, this is spiritual aftermath. For when God assigns two souls to cross paths, energy imprints energy. Frequency imprints frequency. Spirit imprints spirit. Even in silence, even in distance, the connection ripples like a sound wave that refuses to fade. You did not just touch their life, you touched their alignment. And alignment, once shifted, cannot easily return to its old shape. That is why they feel you. That is why they remember. That is why they cannot sleep. You awaken the version of them they were always meant to grow into, but never dared to become. When you left, they lost access to the clarity you carried. It is not that you made them dependent, it is that your presence illuminated the direction they were avoiding. You stirred purpose inside them. You activated healing they didn't even know they needed. And now they wrestle with the echo of who they started becoming when you were near. Beloved, you must understand this clearly. Your energy has always been different. You don't just walk into people's lives, you shift timelines. You don't just speak, you awaken souls. You don't just care, you transform. You bring warmth into places people didn't even know were cold. You reflect truth in ways they did not know how to face. You offer love in a form they never believed they deserved. And because of this, losing you does not feel like losing a person, it feels like losing a guiding star. That is why their sleep is broken. Their peace is fractured. Their spirit is unsettled. Not because of guilt alone, not because of longing alone, but because their soul recognizes what their mind still denies. You were a divine gift, and they mishandled it. God has shown me the reason your energy still touches them so deeply. It is because you were not meant to exit their life permanently. You were meant to exit temporarily, for the sake of their awakening. Separation was not punishment, it was intervention. Distance was not rejection, it was correction. You stepping back became the catalyst heaven needed for their growth. For as long as you stayed, they remained comfortable. But your absence forced them to confront themselves, to see their shadows, to feel the consequences of their avoidance. This is why the nights torment them. This is why they replay conversations. This is why they imagine what they would say if they had another chance. Their spirit is trying to realign. Their soul is trying to heal. Their heart is trying to open. And though they would never admit this aloud, their connection to you has not weakened. It has intensified. But hear this. Because it is crucial. God is not finished with this story. This is not the final chapter. This is preparation. And soon, very soon, heaven will unveil something they have been afraid to admit, something about how they feel, something about what they finally understand, something that will change everything. But before I reveal what God showed me next, about the moment they realized they could not forget you, listen carefully. Beloved soul, breathe slowly as you receive this, for what I am about to reveal carries a weight heaven has placed upon me to deliver with absolute clarity. When God allowed the separation between you and this person, it was not to punish either of you. It was because something deep within them had to break open, something they had kept buried for far too long. Their sleepless nights are not random. Their restless spirit is not coincidence. Their memories of you returning uninvited are not mere nostalgia. These are symptoms of a spiritual awakening they never expected, yet desperately needed. You were sent into their life as light. Not a temporary glow, not a flicker, but a divine illumination. God placed you in their path at the exact moment when their soul was suffocating under old patterns, hidden fears, and generational wounds they refused to confront. And you, without even trying, made them see themselves with new eyes. You exposed their potential. You revealed their softness. You awakened their desire to be better. And instead of embracing this transformation, they resisted it. They clung to the familiar, even if the familiar was destroying them. But the truth is this. Your presence disrupted their comfort zone. And your absence has now exposed the emptiness beneath it. This is why sleep escapes them. This is why the quiet hours torment them. Their spirit is unsettled because the energy you carried was not ordinary. You did not operate from ego, you operated from authenticity. You did not demand attention, your soul naturally drew theirs. You did not manipulate, you elevated. And they had never encountered someone with that kind of purity, that kind of strength, that kind of spiritual clarity. You see, beloved, some people do not realize the value of divine energy until it is no longer within reach. When you were present, they felt balanced, even if they never said so. They felt seen, even if they never admitted it. They felt safe, even if they never showed it. But when you stepped away, all the illusions they hid behind collapsed. Now they lie awake at night, unable to silence the storm within. Now they replay your words, words they once brushed aside. Now they study your absence. An absence that speaks louder than your presence ever did. And God revealed to me the exact reason your energy still touches them so deeply. You activated their soul when their life was controlled by their wounds. You loved them in a way that confronted their fears. You cared for them in a way that forced them to examine their own self-worth. You gave them a level of peace they did not believe they deserved. And because they did not feel ready, they pushed away the very thing heaven had blessed them with. But here is the hidden truth they never told you. The truth that keeps them awake when the world sleeps. They felt something with you they never felt with anyone else. Not because of romance alone. Not because of physical connection alone. But because your spirit recognized theirs before either of you had language for it. You reminded them of who they were meant to become. And now, every night, they wrestle with the shadow of who they used to be. Their sleeplessness is not simply longing. It is conviction. It is awakening. It is realization. Beloved, you must understand this. Your energy imprinted their soul. And the soul does not forget what the mind tries to deny. They may distract themselves by day, but at night, truth rises. They may appear strong, but in the silence, their heart trembles. They may pretend they are fine, but heaven sees the vulnerability they hide. And here is what God showed me with clarity that shook even the realm of spirit. There was a moment, quiet, unexpected, private, when they finally understood what you truly meant to them. A moment when the weight of losing you hit them with more force than they could bear. A moment when they finally realized that walking away from you did not protect them, it wounded them. And that moment changed everything. They did not tell anyone. They did not announce it. They did not confess it. But heaven recorded it. And God allowed me to witness the emotional truth they hide from the world. They have not been the same since you left. Their sleep patterns changed. Their energy drained. Their motivation collapsed. Their spirit dimmed. Not because you hurt them, but because losing your presence removed the spiritual anchor they never acknowledged. And now, there is something unfolding in their heart. Something they cannot suppress. Something they cannot escape. Something they cannot deny much longer. A revelation is forming, and heaven is preparing to bring it into your awareness. But before I reveal what God showed me next, about the moment they finally confessed the truth to themselves, prepare your heart. Beloved soul, open your heart wider now, for what I am about to reveal goes deeper than emotion, deeper than memory, deeper than longing. This next part is the spiritual turning point. The moment heaven allowed me to see inside them, beyond their defenses, beyond their pride, beyond their silence. God showed me the exact night they broke. The exact moment the truth became undeniable. The precise second when their soul whispered what their lips could not speak. It was not dramatic. It was not loud. No tears fell in front of others. No grand gesture. No confession to friends. It was a quiet unraveling of everything they had been trying to hold together. A crack in the armor they built around their heart. A collision between the truth they felt and the illusion they pretended to believe. They were alone when it happened. Late at night. Lights off. Phone in hand. Your name hovered in their mind like a flame refusing to die. They tried to distract themselves, scrolling, music, videos, anything to drown out the internal voice calling them back to who they were with you. But the truth kept rising, louder and louder, until their soul could not silence it anymore. And then, suddenly, there it was. Your energy. Not imagined. Not fantasized. Not forced. Your presence hit them like a wave, overwhelming, undeniable, sacred. It was as if heaven lifted the veil and allowed them to feel what they had been blocking. Their chest tightened. Their breath caught. Their heart raced. They were not thinking, they were remembering. Remembering your warmth. Remembering your guidance. Remembering the peace that wrapped around them whenever you were near. In that moment, they faced the realization they had been avoiding. Losing you was not a release. It was a rupture. A rupture in their spirit. A rupture in their purpose. A rupture in their emotional stability. And for the first time, they allowed themselves to admit it. I messed up. I pushed away the one person who saw me. I didn't understand what they meant to me. This confession shattered them. Not because of shame alone, but because of clarity. They finally saw what God had been trying to show them all along. You were not coincidence. You were not temporary. You were not replaceable. You were a divine assignment. Their soul whispered the truth long before their mind accepted it. Your energy changed the trajectory of their life, and losing access to that light left them spiritually disoriented. And beloved, their suffering is not punishment. It is awakening. The sleepless nights, the anxious thoughts, the sudden memories, the emotional waves, these are all signs their spirit is recalibrating to the truth they resisted. God allowed them to feel your absence so deeply because without that pain, they would never evolve. If you had stayed close, they would have remained stagnant. If you had continued to give, they would have continued to take. If you had kept comforting them, they would have avoided accountability. But now they are being forced to face who they are without you. And they do not like the reflection. They miss the way your energy stabilized them. They miss the way your presence clarified things. They miss the way your compassion softened their edges. They miss the way your truth challenged their shadows. They miss you in ways they cannot verbalize. In ways they never expected. In ways they never believed possible. But here is the most powerful revelation of all, the part that shook the heavens when God revealed it to me. They are beginning to understand that your connection was spiritual, not emotional. You were a mirror for their soul's potential. You were a catalyst for their spiritual evolution. You were the reminder of the path they were meant to walk. And now that they are waking up, they are feeling the call to rise to the level of the energy you carried. Beloved, listen closely. They are changing. They are confronting. They are healing. Not because someone else inspired them, but because your absence exposed their truth. And soon, they will reach a crossroads. A moment where heaven prompts them to choose courage over fear. A moment when they will feel guided to approach you again, not out of desperation, but out of alignment. A moment when their spirit will push them to correct what their ego destroyed. But before that moment arrives, God asked me to prepare your heart for what comes next. For their return will not be driven by longing alone. It will be driven by the realization that you were the only person whose presence awakened something divine inside them. Beloved soul, steady yourself now, because what I am about to unveil is not simply information, it is revelation. It is the truth God has been preparing to release at the appointed time, and that time is now. The next layer of this message carries the weight of destiny. It explains not only why they could not let go of you, but why heaven orchestrated this separation with divine precision. Listen carefully, for this part may stir emotions you thought you had buried, but it will also bring clarity you have needed for a long time. What God showed me next was not about their longing, but about their transformation. You see, beloved, while they struggled with sleepless nights and spiritual unrest, something else was happening beneath the surface. Something they did not understand. Something they could not explain. Something they could not stop. Your energy had started a process inside them that could not be reversed. Even in your absence, your influence continued working on them like a seed planted deeply into soil that refuses to remain dormant. Every lesson you spoke, every moment you stood firm, every boundary you set, every truth you reflected, these things took root. And now, without your presence, they are being forced to grow into the person they should have been all along. You were not meant to fix them, beloved. You were meant to activate them. Your presence awakened a higher version of them. Your absence is pushing them to meet that version face to face. They cannot escape it. They cannot run from it. They cannot silence it. For the first time, they are confronting their inner world without using you as a shield. And that confrontation is painful, but necessary. Heaven showed me scenes, the internal battles they never speak of. They wrestle with guilt because they realize they took your kindness for granted. They wrestle with regret because they know they pushed away someone who truly saw them. They wrestle with fear because they do not know if they still deserve you. They wrestle with longing because they cannot recreate the connection elsewhere. They try to distract themselves, but the soul cannot be distracted from truth. They try to replace what they lost, but the spirit cannot be fooled by imitation. They try to pretend they don't care, but heaven sees every quiet breakdown. Beloved, what haunts them most is not that you left. It's that you never begged to stay. Your silence was the loudest lesson they ever received. Your absence was the sharpest mirror they ever faced. Your boundaries were the strongest message they ever heard. And now, their soul is awakening to the reality that you were the blessing, not the burden. But listen closely now, because this is where the message sharpens with divine urgency. God revealed to me that they are entering a season where they will be pulled toward you again, not merely emotionally, but spiritually. Your energy has become a compass for their growth. Every time they try to walk a path that is not aligned with their evolution, the memory of you resurfaces to redirect them. Every time they attempt to return to old patterns, something inside them breaks. Every time they act out of fear instead of truth, they feel the weight of losing you. Your presence in their past is guiding their future. But here is the part that matters most. The part God wants you to truly understand. They are awakening because of you, but they are transforming for themselves. This is the difference heaven needed. This is the shift God orchestrated. This is the preparation their soul required. If they had awakened for you, the connection would have remained unbalanced. If they had transformed to impress you, it would never last. If they had changed just to get you back, their growth would be temporary. But now, they are evolving because their soul demands it. They are learning how to communicate with honesty. They are learning how to take accountability. They are learning how to love without fear. They are learning how to value what God gives. And as this transformation deepens, something extraordinary is happening within them. They are beginning to understand why they felt so connected to you in the first place. Not because of attraction. Not because of comfort. Not because of familiarity. But because your spirit was aligned with their destiny long before they knew it. And beloved, heaven is preparing the moment when these two paths, yours and theirs, will cross again. But this time, they will not approach with confusion, fear, or hesitation. They will approach with clarity, humility, and truth. But before that divine moment arrives, God wants you to hear the final revelation. The part that ties everything together. The part that explains why your energy still touches them. And what heaven intends to do next. Prepare your heart, beloved. The final segment will reveal the outcome heaven has written. Beloved soul, prepare your spirit for the final revelation, for this is the part heaven has been guiding you towards since the beginning of this message. Everything you have heard so far, every whisper, every confirmation, every stirring in your heart, has led to this moment. This final unveiling is not about the past or even the present alone. It is about what heaven is arranging in the unseen, about the alignment taking shape, about the divine timing that is now gathering momentum around your life. God showed me why your energy still touches them. Why they cannot forget you. Why your presence remains etched into their spirit. And the answer is not simply emotional. It is prophetic. Your connection with this person was written into their spiritual blueprint long before either of you appeared on earth. You were tied to each other not by coincidence, not by chance, but by assignment. Not to destroy, but to awaken. Not to bind, but to elevate. Not to imprison, but to activate destiny. When you entered their life, you carried divine frequency. When you left, you carried divine purpose. You were a chapter they were supposed to read. But you were also the catalyst they were supposed to remember. And here is the truth heaven asked me to tell you now. Your energy still touches them because your purpose in their life is not complete. This is the revelation. This is the divine secret. This is the reason for their sleepless nights. They have been spiritually tethered to you through assignment, and that tether cannot be severed by silence, distance, ego, fear, or time. Every attempt they make to move forward without facing their growth pulls them right back into the memory of you. Not because of obsession, but because of alignment. Your energy lingers around them because you represent the path they were always meant to take. Your absence haunts them because you exposed the truth of who they could become. Your presence ignited a transformation they cannot escape. And now, after all the confusion, delay, inner conflict, and spiritual disruption, heaven is moving them into clarity. God revealed that they are finally approaching the point of full realization. The point where excuses fall away. The point where fear dissolves. The point where truth becomes undeniable. Soon, much sooner than you think, this person will feel compelled to reach out. Not casually. Not carelessly. Not halfway. But with sincerity forged through pain, honesty shaped through awakening, and accountability matured through struggle. And beloved, when that moment arrives, you will feel it in your spirit before it happens in the natural. Something inside you will shift. Your intuition will spark. Your dreams may intensify. Your heart will sense movement. You may suddenly feel their energy again, not as burden, but as breakthrough. But listen closely now, because this part is crucial. God is giving you the power of discernment. When they return, you will not be the same as the person they once knew. You will not repeat old cycles. You will not abandon your boundaries. You will not shrink to make them comfortable. You have evolved. You have healed. You have risen. And because of this, their return is not simply for reconciliation. It is for realignment. Heaven will not allow them to come back with the same patterns. Heaven will not permit them to re-enter with the same fear. Heaven will not bless the connection unless they approach with the maturity, courage, commitment, and clarity required for divine partnership. Beloved soul, you must understand. This next chapter belongs to the version of you who knows your worth, not the version who tolerated less. This connection will only flourish if both souls walk in truth. This time, it must be balanced. This time, it must be mutual. This time, it must be aligned with God. Now hear this with the full force of heaven behind it. Your energy touches them because your soul taught them love. Your absence touches them because your silence taught them growth. Your presence in their destiny will teach them purpose. This is why they cannot sleep. This is why they cannot forget. This is why they cannot move on. The connection is divine. The timing is sacred. The transformation is underway. And now the heavens lean forward to watch what happens next. Beloved, prepare yourself, not with fear, not with impatience, but with quiet confidence. For the person who could not sleep without thinking of you is walking toward the moment God designed, the moment where truth, healing, love, and destiny converge. And when that moment comes, you will know it is no longer your energy chasing them. It is their soul awakening to you. If this message has stirred your spirit, stay close. More divine revelations are rising. Like, save, or subscribe only if you wish to receive the next message heaven aligns for you.